I never thought I'd end up standing naked in a stranger's loft, but here I am, shivering slightly under the skylight of a converted warehouse in Brooklyn. The air smells faintly of turpentine and coffee, and the late afternoon sun pours through the glass, casting long shadows across the hardwood floor. My name's James, and at 32, I've done a lot of things I never expected. Quitting my soul-sucking office job, moving to New York on a whim, even trying to find myself through yoga classes I'm too uncoordinated to enjoy. But this is a whole new level of out of my comfort zone. It started with a flyer I saw taped to a lamppost in Park Slope. Artist seeks figure models for life drawing. All body types welcome. $50 hour. No experience needed. I was broke, or close enough to it, after blowing most of my savings on rent and overpriced avocado toast. $50 an hour sounded like a lifeline, and the no experience needed part gave me just enough courage to send an email. I figured it'd be a quick jig stand still, let some artsy types sketch me, and walk away with cash. Easy, right? Except nobody mentioned I'd be naked. Not until I showed up at the address and the artist, Elias, handed me a robe and pointed to a screen in the corner of his studio. Elias. God, where do I even start with him? He's maybe a few years older than me, with dark curly hair that falls just past his ears and a beard that's more stubble than statement. His eyes are this piercing hazel, like he's seeing through you, not just at you. When he shook my hand, his grip was firm but not aggressive, and his voice had this low, warm rumble that made me feel like I'd known him longer than 5 minutes. He's wearing a paint-splattered flannel over a white tee, sleeves rolled up to show forearms smudged with charcoal. He moves with this quiet confidence, like he's completely at ease in his own skin, which is more than I can say for myself right now. First time modeling? He asks. Glancing up from a canvas he's prepping. His tone is casual, but there's a flicker of curiosity in his eyes. Yeah, I admit, clutching the robe tighter around me. Is it that obvious? He smiles, just a small curve of his lips, and it's enough to make my stomach do a weird little flip. You're doing fine. It's normal to be nervous, just try to relax into it. The pose doesn't have to be perfect. It's more about the feeling. The feeling, sure, like the feeling of wanting to bolt out the door and never come back. But I nod, because I need the money, and honestly, there's something about Elias that makes me want to stay. Maybe it's the way he talks, like he's genuinely interested in what I'm thinking, or maybe it's the way he's not making this feel as awkward as it could. Either way, I'm here, and I'm not backing out now. He gestures to a low platform in the center of the room, draped with a white sheet. Whenever you're ready, you can drop the robe and find a pose that feels natural, something you can hold for about 20 minutes at a time. Natural. Right. I shuffle over to the platform, my bare feet cold against the floor. The studio is huge, with exposed brick walls and shelves crammed with art supplies, jars of brushes, tubes of paint, stacks of sketchbooks. A single easel stands in front of the platform, and Elias is setting up a canvas, his hands moving with practiced ease. There's music playing softly, some instrumental thing with strings that feels like it's trying to calm me down. It's not working. I take a deep breath and let the robe fall, pooling at my feet. The air hits my skin, and I'm hyper-aware of every inch of myself, every scar, every freckle, every flaw I've spent years trying not to think about. I'm not ripped or anything, just average, maybe a little soft around the middle, from too many late-night pizza runs. I stand there, frozen, trying to figure out what natural even means when you're stark naked, in front of a guy who's basically a stranger. Try sitting, Elias suggests, not looking at me yet, which I'm grateful for. Maybe one knee up, hand resting on it. Whatever feels comfortable. Maybe one knee up, hand resting on it. Comfortable is a stretch. But I sit, pulling one knee up and letting my other leg dangle off the platform. I rest my hand on my knee, my other arm propped behind me for balance. It's not exactly relaxed, but it's the best I can do. I glance at Elias, and he's finally looking at me, his eyes scanning my form with a kind of detached focus, like I'm a still life of fruit or a vase. It's professional, not creepy, but it still makes my skin prickle. Perfect, he says, picking up a piece of charcoal. Just breathe and try to stay still. If you need a break, let me know. I nod, and he starts sketching, the charcoal scratching softly against the canvas. The silence between us feels heavy at first, but as the minutes tick by, it settles into something almost peaceful. I focus on the music, the way the light shifts across the floor, the faint creak of Elias's stool as he shifts his weight. My nerves don't exactly disappear, but they dull, like a radio turned down low. So, Elias says after a while, his voice breaking the quiet. What made you answer the ad? I blink, caught off guard. Money, mostly. Rent's a killer, you know? He chuckles, a warm sound that makes the room feel smaller, cozier. Fair enough. New York's not exactly forgiving. You from here? Nah. Chicago originally, moved here about a year ago, chasing, I don't know, something different. Moved. Find it yet? His eyes flick up to meet mine for a second. And there's that curiosity again. Like he's actually interested in my answer. I shrug, careful not to mess up the pose. Not really. Thought I'd figure out what I'm supposed to be doing with my life by now. But it's still a work in progress. He nods, like he gets it, and goes back to sketching. That's okay. Most people don't have it figured out. Anyone who says they do is probably lying. I laugh, surprising myself. What about you? You seem pretty together. With all this, I gesture vaguely with my free hand, meaning the studio, the art, the whole vibe. He pauses, charcoal hovering over the canvas. Looks can be deceiving. This, he waves at the room. It's my safe space. Out there, I'm as lost as anyone. There's a weight to his words, something raw that makes me want to ask more, but I don't. Instead, I watch him work, the way his brow furrows in concentration, the way his fingers smudge the charcoal to soften a line. There's a kind of grace to it, like he's pouring himself into every stroke. I wonder what he sees when he looks at me, not just my body, but me, the guy who's been running from one bad decision to another for years. The first 20 minutes pass faster than I expect, and Elias calls for a break. I grab the robe, wrapping it around myself like a shield, and he hands me a bottle of water. You're doing great, he says, and there's that smile again, small but genuine. Want to see the sketch so far? I hesitate. Part of me wants to say no to avoid seeing myself through someone else's eyes, but curiosity wins out. Sure. He turns the canvas toward me, and I'm not sure what I was expecting, maybe something stiff or clinical, but it's not that. The lines are loose, expressive, capturing the curve of my spine, the weight of my hand on my knee. It's not just a body, it's me. Somehow, in a way I can't quite explain. There's a softness to it, a kind of care that makes my chest tighten. It's good, I say, because I don't know what else to say. Really good. Thanks. He sounds almost shy, like he's not used to compliments. It's just a start, but you're giving me a lot to work with. I don't know if he means my pose or something else, but the way he says it makes my face heat up. I take a sip of water to cover it, and we move on to the next pose, standing this time, one hand on my hip, head tilted slightly. It's easier now, less like I'm exposing myself, and more like I'm just existing. One hand. We fall into a rhythm, pose after pose, with breaks in between where we talk about nothing and everything, movies we've seen, music we like, the best dive bars in the city. Elias has a dry sense of humor, and he tells a story about spilling paint all over a gallery floor, right before an exhibition, that has me laughing so hard I almost forget I'm naked. By the third hour, I'm not even thinking about the robe anymore. It's just me and him and this weird, unexpected connection that's starting to feel like more than just a job. Then comes the moment everything shifts. It's the last pose of the session, and Elias asks me to lie down on the platform, one arm tucked under my head, the other resting across my chest. The sheet is cool against my skin, and the light from the skylight is softer now, the sun dipping lower. I'm tired but calm, almost meditative, as he sketches in silence. The music has stopped, and the only sound is the scratch of charcoal and the occasional car horn from the street. Below, James, he says after a while, his voice quieter than before. Can I ask you something? I open my eyes, meeting his gaze. He stops sketching, his hands resting on his knees, and there's something different in his expression. Less professional, more vulnerable. Sure, I say, my heart picking up speed for no reason. I can name. He hesitates, like he's choosing his words carefully. When you look at yourself, what do you see? The question catches me off guard, and I laugh nervously. I don't know, a guy who's probably eaten too many bagels this month. He doesn't laugh. Instead, he sets the charcoal down and leans forward, his elbows on his thighs. No, I mean really, not the surface stuff. Who are you, James? I freeze. Nobody's asked me that in, maybe ever. Not like this. Not with that kind of intensity. Like they actually want to know. I open my mouth to deflect, to make a joke, but nothing comes out. Instead, I feel this ache, deep in my chest, like he's reached in and touched something I've been hiding even from myself. I don't know, I say finally, my voice barely above a whisper. I've been trying to figure that out for a long time. He nods, like he expected that, and there's no judgment in his eyes. Just understanding. That's okay, he says. Sometimes it takes someone else to help you see it. I don't know what to say to that, so I just hold his gaze. And for a moment, it's like the rest of the world doesn't exist. It's just us, in this quiet, sunlit room, with my heart pounding and my skin tingling, and 1,000 questions I don't know how to ask. I'm not sure if it's the vulnerability of being naked or the way he's looking at me, but I feel more seen than I ever have, and it's terrifying and exhilarating all at once. The session ends not long after that. I pull on my clothes, my movements slow, like I'm reluctant to leave this space where something unspoken has started to take shape. Elias pays me in cash, slipping an extra 20 into the stack with a casual, for the subway fare. I try to protest, but he waves it off, and that smile of his is back, softer this time, almost tentative. Same time next week? He asks, leaning against the easel. Yeah, I say, too quickly. Definitely. I walk out into the cooling evening, the city buzzing around me, but all I can think about is the way Elias looked at me, the way his question cracked something open inside me. I don't know what's happening or what comes next, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm on the edge of something real, something that might just change everything. The week after my first modeling session with Elias feels like it's moving in slow motion. I'm back to my usual routine, freelance copy editing gigs, dodging my landlord's calls about late rent, and pretending I'm not counting down the days until I'm back in that loft. I can't stop thinking about it. About him. That question he asked me, "Who are you, James?" keeps circling in my head like a song stuck on repeat. Nobody's ever asked me something like that. Not with that kind of weight. Like they're ready to listen to whatever messy answer I might give. It's unsettling, but not in a bad way. It's like he saw something in me I didn't even know was there. I'm nervous as hell when I show up for the second session. The warehouse looks the same, all brick and glass and industrial charm. But I'm different. I'm hyper-aware of everything. The creak of the stairs, the faint hum of traffic outside, the way my sneakers feel too loud on the hardwood floor. I'm early, which isn't like me, but I didn't want to risk being late. Not for this. Elias is already there, rearranging some sketches on a table in the corner. He's in a navy sweater today, the kind that looks soft enough to sleep in, and his hair is tied back loosely, a few curls escaping around his ears. When he sees me, his face lights up, not in a big, showy way, but like he's genuinely glad I'm here. "James," he says, crossing the room to shake my hand. "Good to see you." Again.
You too, I say.
And my voice sounds steadier than I feel. His hand lingers in mine for a second longer than necessary, or maybe I'm imagining it. Either way, my pulse is doing that annoying thing, where it speeds up for no reason.
"Ready for round two?" he asks, handing me the same robe from last week. It's soft, worn in like it's been washed 100 times. I wonder how many other models have worn it, and the thought makes me weirdly jealous, which is ridiculous. I barely know this guy. Maybe know this guy.
Yeah, let's do it, I say, forcing a grin to cover the nerves. I head behind the screen to change, and this time, it's a little easier to let the robe drop. Not easy. Exactly. I'm still hyper-aware of my bare skin, the way the air feels too cool against it, but it's not as paralyzing as last week, maybe because I know what to expect, or maybe because Elias makes it feel less like I'm exposing myself and more like I'm just being. He's got a different setup today. The platform is still there, draped in that same white sheet, but there's a wooden chair beside it, and the easel is angled differently, catching the morning light. The skylight's letting in this soft, golden glow that makes the whole room feel warm, almost intimate. He's playing music again, something jazzy and low, with a saxophone that weaves through the air like a conversation. "Let's try something seated today," Elias says, gesturing to the chair. "Maybe with your back to me, one arm over the back of the chair, head turned slightly. Whatever feels natural." Natural. There's that word again. I sit, twisting so my back's to him, one arm draped over the chair's back, my head tilted just enough to catch him in my peripheral vision. It's a vulnerable pose, my spine exposed, my shoulders tense at first. I try to relax, focusing on the music, the way the chair creaks under my weight. "Perfect," Elias says, and I hear the scratch of charcoal again. Just let me know if you need to shift. We settle into the rhythm from last week, him sketching, me trying not to overthink every muscle twitch. The silence is comfortable at first, but my mind's racing. I keep replaying that moment from last week, the way his eyes held mine, the way his question cracked something open inside me. I want to ask him something, anything, to keep that connection going, but I don't know where to start. So, I say finally, my voice cutting through the quiet, "How'd you get into this, the whole artist thing?" He doesn't answer right away, and for a second, I think I've overstepped. But then he speaks, his voice low and thoughtful, kind of by accident. I was studying architecture in college, thought I'd be designing buildings or something, but I took a drawing class as an elective, and it just clicked, like I'd found a language I didn't know I could speak. I turned my head slightly, careful not to mess up the pose. "That's cool. Most people don't find something like that." "Yeah. Well, it's not all romantic. Took me years to figure out I could make a living at it. Lots of ramen and couch surfing in between." He laughs, and it's a little self-deprecating, like he's not trying to impress me. He laughs, and it's a little self-deprecating, like he's not trying to impress me. I smile, even though he can't see it. Still sounds better than my last job. I was stuck in a cubicle, editing marketing copy for a company that sold industrial cleaning supplies. Soul crushing doesn't even begin to cover it. He chuckles, the sound warm and easy. "Ouch. Yeah, I'd take ramen over that any day. What made you quit?" I hesitate. It's not a simple question. Not for me. I don't know. I just woke up one day and realized I couldn't do it anymore. Like, if I stayed, I'd lose whatever was left of myself. So I packed up, moved here, figured I'd start over. "Brave," he says, and there's no sarcasm in his tone, just quiet respect. Not everyone has the guts to do that. I shrug, even though it pulls at the pose, brave or stupid. Jury's still out. He doesn't respond right away, and I hear the charcoal moving faster, like he's trying to capture something specific. "I think it's brave," he says finally. "Takes a lot to walk away from something safe, even if it's killing you." His words hit me harder than I expect, and I feel that ache again, the one from last week, like he's seeing parts of me I've kept buried. I don't know how to respond, so I just focus on the pose, the way the chair digs into my arm, the way the light shifts as a cloud passes over the skylight. We go through a few more poses, each one feeling less like a performance and more like a conversation without words. Elias is careful, always checking in to make sure I'm comfortable, but there's this undercurrent between us, something I can't quite name. It's in the way he looks at me, not just at my body, but at me, like he's trying to figure out who I am, just like I'm trying to figure out who he is. During a break, I pull on the robe and wander over to the table where he's got some sketches laid out. They're not all of me, there are other figures, some still lifes, a few abstract pieces that look like they're more about color than form. But the ones of me stand out. There's something raw about them, not just in the lines but in the way they capture. I don't know, my essence? God. That sounds pretentious, but it's true. He's not just drawing my body, he's drawing the way I hold myself, the tension in my shoulders, the way my head tilts when I'm thinking too hard. "These are incredible," I say, tracing a finger along the edge of one sketch, careful not to smudge it. "You make me look better than I feel." He's standing beside me now, close enough that I can smell his cologne, something woodsy and faint. "I don't know about that," he says. "I just draw what I see, and what I see is a lot." There it is again, that intensity in his voice, and I feel my face heat up. I want to ask what he means, what he sees, but I'm scared of the answer, scared it'll be too much, or not enough. So I just nod and say, "Thanks." We move on to the next pose, standing this time, my weight shifted to one leg, arms crossed loosely over my chest. It's a defensive stance, and I wonder if he notices, if he's reading me the way I'm trying to read him. He's quieter now, more focused, and I let myself get lost in the rhythm of it, the scratch of charcoal, the soft jazz, the way the light keeps changing, painting the room in shades of gold and gray. Halfway through the pose, he stops sketching and sets the charcoal down. "Can we try something different?" he asks, his voice hesitant, like he's not sure how I'll take it. "Sure," I say. My curiosity piqued. "What's up?" He steps onto the platform, which surprises me, and kneels in front of me, not touching, just close enough that I can feel the warmth of him. "I want to adjust your arms," he says. "Is that okay?" I nod, my throat suddenly dry. He reaches out, his hands hovering for a moment before gently uncrossing my arms and guiding them to my sides. His touch is light, professional, but there's a tremor in it, like he's as nervous as I am. He steps back, looking at me with that same focused intensity, but there's something else there now, something softer, almost tender. Like this, he says, his voice barely above a whisper. It's open, honest. I swallow hard, feeling exposed in a way that has nothing to do with being naked. Okay, I manage, and he nods, stepping back to his easel. The rest of the session feels different, charged. Every time his eyes meet mine, it's like we're sharing a secret. Even though I don't know what it is, I'm hyper-aware of him now, the way his hands move, the way his brow furrows when he's concentrating, the way he bites his lip when he's trying to get a line just right. I wonder if he feels it too, this pull, or if I'm just projecting, seeing what I want to see because it's been so long since I felt anything like this. When the session ends, I'm almost disappointed. I pull on my clothes, my movements slow, like I'm trying to stretch out the moment. Elias is cleaning his hands with a rag, the charcoal smudging his fingers, and I catch myself staring at them, wondering what they'd feel like against my skin in a different context. Jesus, James, get a grip. You're a natural, he says, breaking the silence. I mean it. You've got this presence. It's hard to explain, but it comes through in the drawings. I laugh, rubbing the back of my neck. I don't know about that. I'm just trying not to fall off the chair. He grins, but it's softer, almost shy. You're selling yourself short, but I get it. Takes time to see yourself the way others do. There's that ache again, sharper this time. And I want to say something, anything, to keep this moment from slipping away, but all I manage is, same time next week. Yeah, he says, and there's a flicker of something in his eyes. Hope, maybe, or hesitation, unless you want to grab a coffee or something before then, to talk about art, or whatever, or whatever. I freeze, my heart doing that stupid racing thing again. Is he asking me out, or is this just a friendly thing, a professional courtesy? I search his face for a clue, but he's giving me nothing, just that small, tentative smile. Sure, I say, before I can overthink it. Coffee sounds good. Cool. He pulls out his phone, and we exchange numbers, my fingers fumbling on the screen because I'm nervous, and he's standing right there, watching me. There's a place on Court Street, he says. Great espresso. I'll text you. Sounds good, I say again, because apparently my vocabulary has decided to take a vacation. I grab my jacket, and as I head for the door, I feel his eyes on me like he's still sketching me in his mind. The walk home is a blur. The city's alive around me. People laughing, horns blaring, the smell of street food mixing with exhaust, but I'm only half here. The other half is back in that loft, replaying every moment, every look, every word. I don't know what's happening between us, or if there's even an us to talk about, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm waking up. Like maybe, just maybe, I'm starting to see myself through someone else's eyes, and it's not as scary as I thought it would be. The coffee shop on Court Street is one of those places that feels like it's trying to be both trendy and timeless. Exposed brick walls, mismatched wooden tables, and a chalkboard menu with too many latte flavors. I'm early, because of course I am, sitting at a corner table with a cold brew I've barely touched, my legs bouncing under the table, and I keep checking my phone, even though Elias texted 10 minutes ago to say he's on his way. I'm nervous, and not the same kind of nervous I was in his studio. This is different, less about being naked and more about what this coffee date, or whatever it is, might mean. It's been 3 days since our last session, and I haven't stopped thinking about him. The way he adjusted my arms, his hands so careful, like he was afraid to break something. The way he asked me out, or at least, I think he did. Coffee to talk about art, or whatever, isn't exactly a love letter, but it felt like more than just a casual invite. Or maybe I'm reading too much into it. I've been out of the dating game for a while, and my radar for this stuff is rusty. My last relationship, if you can even call it that, was a messy fling with a guy from my old job in Chicago. It ended with him ghosting me after I suggested we might actually be something. So yeah, I'm cautious. But with Elias, there's this pull, like a current I can't swim against, even if I wanted to. He walks in just as I'm convincing myself to stop overthinking. He's in a gray hoodie and jeans, his hair loose and a little messy from the wind outside. He spots me and smiles, that same small, warm curve of his lips that makes my stomach do a flip. Hey, James, he says, sliding into the chair across from me. Hope you weren't waiting too long. Nah, just got here. I lie, pushing the cold brew toward the center of the table like it's proof I'm relaxed. You want something? My treat? He raises an eyebrow, amused, trying to impress me already. I laugh, caught off guard. Maybe. Is it working? A little. He grins, and it's the first time I've seen him look almost playful. I'll grab an espresso. Be right back. I watch him walk to the counter. The way he moves with that quiet confidence, like he's comfortable in his own skin no matter where he is. It's not arrogance, just this ease I envy. I'm still trying to figure out how to feel like that, like I belong anywhere. He's back in a couple of minutes, cradling a tiny cup of espresso. So, he says, settling in. How's your week going? Same old, I say, shrugging, editing some boring manuals, dodging my landlord, the usual. You? Working on a new piece, not you. I mean something else. A commission for a gallery in Chelsea. He sips his espresso, his eyes flicking to mine. But I've been thinking about our sessions. You're a good model, James. You've got this honesty. It's rare. Go. I feel my face heat up, and I cover it with a sip of my drink. Thanks. I'm just trying not to fall off the platform. He laughs, and it's this low, warm sound that makes the noisy coffee shop feel smaller, like it's just us. You're selling yourself short again. It's not just about holding a pose, it's about what you bring to it, the way you carry yourself, like you're figuring something out, even when you're standing still. I don't know what to say to that. Nobody's ever described me like that. Like I'm more than just a guy stumbling through life. You see a lot, I say finally, my voice quieter than I mean it to be. He shrugs, but there's a flicker of something in his eyes, vulnerability. Maybe comes with the job. You spend enough time looking at people, you start to see the things they don't say. We talk for a while about nothing and everything. He tells me about growing up in a small town in upstate New York, where he was the weird kid who drew on every surface he could find. I tell him about Chicago, about the winters that felt like they'd never end, about my mom who still calls every Sunday to make sure I'm eating vegetables. It's easy, easier than I expected, and I'm surprised at how much I want to keep talking, to keep learning about him. But there's this undercurrent, too. Like we're both circling something we're not ready to name. Every time our eyes meet, it's like a spark, quick and electric, and I wonder if he feels it too. I want to ask, but I'm scared of breaking whatever this is, of making it real and risking it falling apart. So, he says after a lull, setting his empty cup down, you ever think about what you want? Not just out of life, but right now? It's a question that feels like a continuation of the one he asked in the studio, and it catches me off guard again. I lean back in my chair, buying time. I don't know, I guess I want to feel settled, like I'm not just drifting. He nods, like he gets it. That's hard in a city like this. Everything's always moving, changing, makes it tough to find solid ground. Yeah, I say, and my voice cracks a little, betraying me. What about you? What do you want right now? He hesitates, his fingers tracing the rim of his cup. I want to make something real, not just art, but connections, something that lasts. His words hang between us, heavy with meaning, and I feel that ache again, the one that's been there since the first session. I want to reach across the table, to touch his hand, to see if this is as real as it feels, but I don't. Instead, I say, that sounds nice. We finish our drinks and step outside, the late afternoon air crisp and sharp, the streets busy, people rushing past, but it feels like we're in our own little bubble. You want to walk for a bit? Elias asks, shoving his hands in his pockets. Sure, I say, and we start down the street, no real destination in mind. We talk more about art, about the city, about the little things that make us who we are. He points out a mural on a building, explaining the technique like it's the most fascinating thing in the world. And I'm struck by how passionate he is, how alive he seems when he talks about his work. We end up in a small park, just a patch of green tucked between buildings. There's a bench, and we sit, our shoulders close but not touching. The sun's starting to set, painting the sky in pinks and oranges, and I feel this strange sense of peace, like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. James, Elias says after a while, his voice soft. Can I ask you something personal? My heart skips a beat, but I nod. Go for it. He looks at me, his hazel eyes catching the last of the sunlight. Have you ever been in love? The question hits me like a punch, not because it's unexpected, but because it's so direct. I look away at the trees, at the people walking their dogs, anywhere but at him. Once, I say, finally, back in Chicago, didn't end well. He doesn't push, just waits, like he knows there's more. And there is. His name was Mark. I say, my voice low. We worked together. It was intense. But he wasn't ready for anything real. Or maybe I wasn't. I don't know. It just fell apart. I'm sorry, Elias says, and he sounds like he means it. That's hard. Yeah. I swallow my throat tight. What about you? He looks down at his hands, clasped in his lap. Yeah, once. A guy I met in art school. We were together for 2 years. Thought it was forever, you know, but he wanted different things. Moved to LA, and that was that. There's a sadness in his voice, but it's not raw, like it's something he's made peace with. I want to ask more, but I don't want to pry. Instead, I say, sounds like we've both got some battle scars. He laughs softly. Yeah, guess so. Makes you wonder if it's worth trying again. I look at him then, really look at him, and I see it, the same fear I feel, the same hope. I think it is, I say, and my voice is steadier than I expect. If it's the right person. He holds my gaze, and for a moment, it's like the world stops. I can hear my heartbeat, feel the cool metal of the bench under my hands, see the way his eyes soften, like he's seeing me for the first time. I want to lean in, to close the distance, but I'm frozen, caught between wanting and fearing. James, he says, and his voice is so quiet I almost miss it. I'm really glad you answered that ad. Me too, I say, and it's the most honest thing I've said all day. We sit there until the sky darkens, the conversation drifting to lighter things, movies, music, the best pizza in Brooklyn, but that moment lingers, like a brushstroke on a canvas, permanent and vivid. When we finally part ways, him heading to his studio and me to my tiny apartment, I feel lighter, like I've left some of my doubts on that bench. The next modeling session is a few days later, and it's different from the start. The air in the studio feels charged, like the space itself knows something shifted. Elias is quieter, more focused, but there's a warmth in his glances, a softness in the way he directs my poses. Today, he's painting, not sketching, and the smell of oil paint fills the room, sharp and heady. He's set up a new pose, me reclining on the platform, one arm bent, the other resting across my stomach. It's intimate, exposed, but I don't feel as vulnerable as I did the first time. Maybe because it's him, and I'm starting to trust the way he sees me. You're different today, he says after a while, his brush moving in slow, deliberate strokes, more relaxed. Am I say, raising an eyebrow. Maybe I'm just getting used to this whole naked in front of a stranger thing. He laughs, but it's gentle. You're not a stranger, James, not anymore. My heart does that stupid flip again, and I look away, focusing on the skylight, the way the clouds drift across it. Guess not, I say, and I mean it. We talk less this time, but the silence isn't heavy. It's comfortable, like we don't need words to fill the space. Every now and then, he steps onto the platform to adjust my pose, his hands careful, but less hesitant than before. When his fingers brush my arm, it's like a spark, quick and warm, and I catch his eye, wondering if he felt it too. He doesn't say anything, just steps back to his canvas, but there's a flush on his cheeks that wasn't there before. When the session ends, I linger, pulling on my clothes slowly, not ready to leave. Elias is cleaning his brushes, his movements precise, almost meditative. Want to see it? He asks, nodding toward the canvas. I nod, stepping over to his easel. The painting's only half finished, but it's stunning. The colors are rich, vibrant, my form emerging from layers of blues and golds, like I'm part of the light itself. It's not just my body, it's the way I feel, the quiet strength I didn't know I had. It's, wow, I say, because words are failing me. You make me look like I know what I'm doing. He smiles, setting a brush down. You do, you just don't see it yet. We stand there, close enough that I can feel the warmth of him, and I want to say something, to tell him how much this him, the studio, all of it means to me. But before I can, he speaks. James, I don't usually do this. Get close to models. I mean, it's a line I don't cross. But with you, he trails off, rubbing the back of his neck, like he's searching for the right words. My heart's pounding now, and I take a step closer, close enough to see the flecks of gold in his eyes. With me, what? I ask. my voice barely above a whisper. No. He looks at me, and there's no hiding the vulnerability in his expression. With you, it's different. I don't know how to explain it, but I want to know you. Not just as a model, but as you. The air feels thick, like it's holding its breath, and I'm dizzy with the weight of his words. I want to reach for him, to close the distance, but I'm scared of what this means, scared of messing it up, so I just say, I want that too. He exhales, like he's been holding his breath too, and his smile is small but real. Good, that's good. We don't kiss. Not then. It's not the right moment. Not yet. But as I leave the studio, the city buzzing around me, I feel like something's shifted, like a door's opened, that I didn't even know was there. I don't know where this is going, but for the first time in a long time, I'm not afraid to find out. I'm standing in Elias's studio again, but it feels like a different world from that first day. The skylight's letting in a soft gray light today, the kind that comes with a rainy afternoon, and the air smells like wet pavement and paint. It's been a month since I answered that flyer, a month since I stood here naked and nervous, not knowing I was about to stumble into something that would turn my life upside down. Elias is across the room, setting up his easel, his movements as steady and deliberate as ever, but there's a difference now, a quiet intimacy in the way he glances at me, like we're sharing a secret nobody else knows. We've been spending more time together outside the studio, coffee dates that turn into long walks, late-night texts about nothing important, a dinner at a hole-in-the-wall Thai place where we laughed so hard I forgot how to breathe. Every moment with him feels like a brushstroke, adding color to a life that's been gray for too long. But we haven't crossed that line yet, haven't kissed, haven't named whatever this is. It's like we're both standing at the edge of something, too scared to jump, too drawn to step back. Today's session feels heavier, though. Maybe it's the rain. Or maybe it's the fact that Elias told me this morning that this might be our last session for a while. He's got a gallery show coming up, and he needs to focus on finishing the pieces. I get it, his art is his life, and I'm just a guy who answered an ad. But the thought of not coming back here, of not having this space where I feel so seen, makes my chest ache in a way I can't ignore. You okay? Elias asks, looking up from his canvas. He's in a black t-shirt today, paint smudged on the sleeve, his hair tied back but coming loose at the edges. His hazel eyes are steady, searching, like he can tell, I'm carrying something heavy. Yeah, I say, forcing a smile as I slip off my jacket. Just, rainy days. Makes me introspective. He nods, like he buys it, but I can tell he doesn't want to talk about it. I shake my head, grabbing the robe from the hook by the screen. Nah, I'm good. Let's just get started. He doesn't push, which I'm grateful for. I change behind the screen, the familiar weight of the robe settling over my shoulders, and step onto the platform. The sheets cool against my skin as I drop the robe, and I wait for his direction, trying to ignore the knot in my stomach. Let's try something simple today, he says, his voice softer than usual. Just standing, hands at your sides, head tilted up a bit, like you're looking at something far away. I nod and find the pose, my feet firm against the platform, my gaze fixed on the skylight, where raindrops patter against the glass. It's a vulnerable stance, open, like I'm offering something up. I wonder if he chose it on purpose, if he's trying to pull something out of me, like he did that first day with his question about who I am. He starts painting, the brush moving in slow, careful strokes, and the silence between us is different today, thicker, heavier. The music's off, and the only sounds are the rain and the soft scrape of his brush against the canvas. I want to say something, to break the tension, but my throat feels tight, like all the things I haven't said are stuck there. James, he says after what feels like forever, his voice low and careful, you've been quiet today, more than usual. I swallow, keeping my eyes on the skylight, just thinking. About what? He's still painting, but I can feel his attention on me, like a spotlight. I can't escape. I hesitate, because the truth feels too big, too raw. But he's been nothing but honest with me, and I owe him the same. About this, us, what happens when these sessions are over. He stops painting, the brush hovering over the canvas, and I risk a glance at him. His expression is unreadable, but his eyes are locked on mine, intense and unguarded. What do you want to happen? He asks. My heart's pounding now, and I feel more exposed than I ever have, even standing here naked. I don't know, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. I don't want this to end. He sets the brush down, slow and deliberate, and steps onto the platform. He's close now, closer than he's ever been during a session, and I can see the flecks of gold in his eyes, the faint stubble on his jaw. It doesn't have to, he says, and there's a tremor in his voice, like he's as scared as I am. I don't know who moves first, maybe me, maybe him, but suddenly his hand is on my arm, warm and steady, and I'm turning toward him, closing the distance. His lips meet mine, soft at first, tentative, like he's asking a question. I answer by kissing him back, my hands finding his shoulders, pulling him closer. It's not frantic or desperate, it's quiet, real, like we've been building to this moment since the first day. When we pull apart, we're both breathing hard, and he rests his forehead against mine, his eyes closed. "I've wanted to do that for weeks," he murmurs, and I laugh, the sound shaky but real. "Me too," I say, and it feels like a confession, like I'm laying myself bare in a way that's deeper than any pose. We stand there for a moment, just breathing, the rain a soft rhythm outside. Then he steps back, his hand lingering on my arm before he lets go. "I didn't plan that," he says, a small smile tugging at his lips. "But I'm not sorry." "Good," I say, grinning despite the nerves still buzzing under my skin, because I'm not either. We don't go back to the painting right away. Instead, he hands me the robe, and we sit on the platform, side by side, our shoulders brushing. "I meant what I said," he tells me, his voice steady now. "This doesn't have to end. The sessions might. But us, that's up to us. The sessions might. But us, that's up to us. The sessions might. But us, that's up to us. The way one time." I nod, my throat tight again. But this time it's not fear, it's hope. "I want there to be an us," I say, and it's the most honest thing I've ever said. But I'm scared. "Elias, I've messed up before. I don't want to mess this up." He takes my hand, his fingers warm and sure, and squeezes gently. "Me too. But I think we're both brave enough to try." The rest of the session is different, softer. He paints, and I pose, but it's like we're connected now, like every glance, every brush stroke is part of a conversation. When it's over, I don't want to leave, but he walks me to the door, his hand brushing mine as we say goodbye. "See you soon?" he asks, and it's not just about the studio. "No." "Yeah," I say, smiling. "Soon." The next few weeks are a blur of moments, dinners, walks, late-night talks on his couch with a bottle of wine between us. We're careful, both of us, like we're painting on a canvas that's still wet, afraid to smudge it, but every touch, every kiss, feels like a promise, like we're building something real. I tell him things I've never told anyone about the fear that I'll never be enough, about the years I spent running from myself. He listens, really listens, and shares his own fears, his own scars. It's not perfect, but it's honest, and that's more than I've ever had. One night, he invites me to the gallery show, the one he's been working toward. It's in Chelsea, a sleek space with white walls and too many people in fancy clothes. I'm nervous, out of place in my best button-down and jeans, but Elias is by my side, his hand brushing mine every now and then, grounding me. The room is full of his paintings, vibrant and alive, and I see myself in them, not just my body, but my heart, my doubts, my hopes. There's one piece, the one from our last session, and it's breathtaking. My form is bathed in light, my head tilted up, like I'm reaching for something just out of sight. It's called Unfinished, and when I ask him why, he smiles. "Because you're still becoming," he says. "We both are." I feel tears prick my eyes, and I blink them back, not wanting to make a scene, but he sees, and he pulls me into a quiet corner, his hand cupping my face. "You okay?" he asks, his voice soft. "Yeah," I say, and this time, I mean it. I'm more than okay. We kiss there, in the shadow of his art, and it feels like a beginning, not an end. The show goes late, and we stay until the crowd thins, talking with collectors and friends, his arm around my shoulders like it's the most natural thing in the world. When we leave, the city is quiet, the streets slick with rain, and we walk hand in hand, not caring who sees. Back at his loft, we sit on the couch, the same jazz from our sessions playing softly in the background. He pulls out a sketchbook, one I haven't seen before, and flips to a page with a drawing of me, not from a session, but from that day in the park, sitting on the bench, my face turned toward the sunset. "I did this after we talked," he says, his voice low. "I couldn't stop thinking about you." I trace the lines of the sketch, my throat tight with emotion. It's beautiful, I say, and I'm not just talking about the drawing. He leans in, kissing me softly, and this time there's no hesitation, no fear. It's just us, two people who found each other in a city that's too big, too fast, but somehow brought us together. We don't talk about the future. Not yet, but I know we will. For now, it's enough to be here, to feel his warmth, to know that this us is real. As I fall asleep that night, his arm around me, I think about that first day, about the flyer that led me here. I was looking for a way to pay rent, but I found something else, something I didn't even know I was searching for. Elias sees me, not just the parts I show the world, but the parts I've hidden, the parts I'm still discovering, and for the first time in a long time, I'm starting to see myself too, not as a guy who's drifting, but as someone who's building something, someone who's brave enough to love and be loved. The canvas isn't finished, not yet, but with Elias, I'm starting to believe it could be something beautiful.